Okay, so next week you're going to have a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Is this what you've been talking about? This is the opportunity you've been looking for, and now it's finally here next week.
Yeah, this is where I belong. This is where I've belonged since I, made my debut. Last time we talked, I told you I showed up. I won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I belong, in those matches for the WWE Championship, and now next Tuesday I'm going to get that.
You should give me a little bit of credit for putting you in that match, because I didn't have to do that. Right?
Spreading Christmas cheer.
Of course, you want credit
Christmas
for finally doing something right. Look, the night has been good. I went out there with Dolph Ziggler and put a good beating on him, and AJ threw a little fit like he does. This all started because last week I'm away accepting an awesome award, Most Metal Athlete from Revolver Magazine. I walk a black carpet. I spend time with some of the best rock stars in the world, iconic rock stars, a night of being a superstar, that puts me on another level than anybody else here. And you make a match for guys to go out and fight for a number one contender, a shot at the title when I'm gone.
Yeah.
So let's start with that.
The show goes on, man. The show goes on.
You do it with your biggest superstar gone. That's a brilliant decision.
Okay, well, why don't we focus on what you do get to do next week? Because that's a huge opportunity, triple threat match. And just looking at the ways that stipulation could help you going into next week. Going into a triple threat match. I mean, who do you see as being the bigger threat? AJ wearing the crown or Dolph Ziggler?
I'm the biggest threat. I'm the biggest threat to both of them. Look, AJ's coming off a little injury. If he thought he was in pain Tuesday night, he's going to be in a lot of pain. And then he's going to spend his New Year's crying about how he's no longer WWE champion. That's the big threat.
Live from Chicago, Illinois, it's episode 34 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast here. Hope you guys having a good week. It's Christmas week, ladies and gentlemen. We're just about 4 or 5 days away from the annual extravaganza known as Christmas. I am doing very, very well, for those that are wondering. If not, you could be a hater and scratch my derriere. I am the gluey hump Josh Lopez for those that know me for the Sports Drive. I'm also the student of the game of professional wrestling. Thank you guys so much for checking out this program. As always, thank you. It seems like we continue to get bigger and bigger each week, which is truly humbling. Last week we did just about over 30,000 listeners for a Roadblock preview show. It's crazy, man. Over 30,000 listeners on Podomatic. I haven't got the stats back on iTunes, but you could, by the way, subscribe to this particular podcast on iTunes. Just type in Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom, wherever you get your podcast from. Type in Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast and tell everybody where the legit podcast is when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. It's Wednesday, December 21st, as I'm speaking to you right now. We're going to have the podcast out a little later this afternoon. And it's been a very busy week heading into the holidays. I did over 6 shows for play-by-play pieces for the Zone of Wrestle, aka WrestleZone.com. Did Roadblock, did Tribute to the Truths, did 205 Live, did SmackDown. I think even did Lucha as well last week. And Roadblock. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of writing, and I'm not burnt out or anything. It's just a lot of work, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's always a good time covering wrestling shows. More wrestling, the better, right? We got a good show for you guys today as we're going to head into the holidays. We will have a show next week for those that are wondering. We will have a show. On today's program, we're going to be talking about, obviously, Roadblock, get to total Nonstop Deletion from last week. Talk about both Raw and SmackDown, which I thought were pretty good, even though they were holiday shows. And also give you a little preview for the shows that I'll be going to next week that are going to be here in Chicago, which is going to be a lot of fun, heading back to the Rosemont Horizon, a.k.a. the All-State Arena. Looking forward to it. As always, if you guys ever have any questions or if you like to advertise with the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, please send me an email at joshlopez94@gmail.com. Once again, that's at joshlopezwwe94@gmail.com. Looking for advertising, and I'm looking forward to getting your feedback when it comes to this particular podcast. I have a blast recording it every single week. I think the new production elements is helping it go to the next level, and it's only getting better from here. So, before we get to Monday Night Raw, Roadblock, Total Nonstop, Deletion, etc., I just want to open off the show with a moment of positivity and an inspirational quote. If you're feeling down or if you're in a bad mood or things haven't been going your way recently, I'll say this. Take a look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this one question. Is it really that important to you to have people give you adulation in life? Also, another question. Is it that important to you that you need not justification, but clarification that you're the best? It's something I deal with every day of my life. I think we all deal with certain things that tick us off, or we're insecure about certain aspects of life. I'll say this, though. I'm very... I'm not complacent. I am content with who I am as a person. Is there little quirks here and there that I have? Absolutely, but we all have those. But at the same time, I'm happy with what I'm doing. I could be happier, man. Like, seriously, coming up in March will be my 4th year of doing these wrestling media style shows. And this will be my 3rd year as a professional broadcaster since I graduated from the Illinois Media School back in 2014. So I've learned a lot over the past 3 years, and it went by really, really fast. In this field, you know, there's a lot of people that's in this business for ego purposes and money and this and that. I'm doing this to make a difference and make people think and make people feel better about themselves. Is the money nice? Is the adulation nice? Is it cool to see that your shows are getting a lot of plays each week? Absolutely. It's truly humbling because for a guy like me who was like the shyest person on earth like 4 or 5 years ago, I never thought I'd be in the position that I'm in right now. I've been keeping it under wraps over the past couple weeks, but for those that do know, I just did a job interview with ESPN 1000, WMVP AM Chicago for you radio heads out there. I did an interview downtown yesterday, and it's been a goal of mine to work in the radio business or just the entertainment business in general when I was a kid. I always wanted to be part of the wrestling business. I never wanted to be a wrestler. I always wanted to be a commentator. But I knew that you had to take different steps on your path to get to where you want to go in life. And I'm not looking at ESPN 1000 as a stepping stone, but at the same time, ESPN 1000 still is one of my other dreams. If I never had the opportunity to work in professional wrestling, I would always want to work in the radio business when it comes to talking about Chicago sports, because I love the city. I love it. I love the city. I love the teams. I'm one of the biggest Chicago sports fans, you know. If you guys listen to Sports Drive, you hear my passion when I go in the rants, because sometimes the media paints a picture that we're like the worst sports city in the entire United States, and I just think that's ridiculous. But I love sports. I love radio, and I'm truly hoping that this works out, because I did an interview with the same company just about this time last year, and I didn't get a definitive no, but still, it's kind of one of those hanging things, and then you find out last minute that they picked up somebody else. So keep me in your prayers. Wish me luck. I hope this will be the beginning of something very special going into 2017 because hopefully this will be the break I need. You know, I'm going to be turning 23 in May. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be alive. My good friend Frank Sprinkle says this a lot on the Sports Drive. If you're fortunate enough to wake up the next day, you got to consider your life pretty good because you're here. You still have another day. And you got to be grateful for what you have because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And look, I'll be open and honest with you guys. I'm all about ambition and drive. I'm not ruthless in the way that I'm going to backstab people to get what I want, but I am ruthless in the way my work ethic is. I'm ruthless in how consistent I am. I'm ruthless with how many times I do the things I do. Like I mentioned before, to those that know me, I do more than the Call of Duty. I really do. Should I be doing 4 or 5 wrestling play-by-play pieces a week for $200 a month? No. But it's practice, and I feel I'm getting so much product knowledge from the business without actually being in the business. That's really going to help me out later if I want to be a play-by-play commentator or whatever in the wrestling business. I'm learning about the formats of the show, recognizing sequences, and actually paying attention to the shows. You know, we're a wrestling podcast, right? And with doing these play-by-play pieces, especially when it comes to pay-per-views, for example, right? We just had Roadblock this past Sunday night. And over the past 3 years, since I've been doing these play-by-play pieces, whether it was on BetweenTheRoads.com or WrestleZone, I've been able to have the ability to tune everything out of my head when it comes to being a fan of professional wrestling. I truly have, because it's not about how I would book a certain thing. I don't have a booking critique 101 playbook with me when I'm covering the shows. I don't. Not only I don't want to have one out there, because that's not the point of watching the show. You're watching an entertainment show to be entertained. If there's something you don't like, okay, that's perfectly fine. But I'm not going to break something I'm not going to break down something I have no control over while it's going on. I think that's a better platform to do it after, just like doing shows like this or any other podcast you listen to. If you're really breaking down and critiquing the show while the show's going on, you already have a jaded perspective and you're already going to shit on the show, no matter the duration of the show is going to be. That's the way I've looked at it. And when I'm doing these play-by-play pieces, I have to block that stuff out because I don't have enough time. When I do my pieces, I want them to stand out as the best that it can be. It's the truest transcription of the shows that you'll see anywhere else when it comes to these sites. And I put a lot of pride and effort into these pieces. I was so fortunate enough this past weekend to see that my result articles for Roadblock did just about the same numbers as the play-by-play guys that did it for Fox Sports and Forbes this past weekend. That's pretty freaking cool, you know? Yeah, I'm like the outcast on WrestleZone.com because we do the play-by-play pieces, but we get paid the least out of everybody in the staff. And for the fact that my article, even though I'm the outcast of the crew, is doing just as much or even more than major network pieces on their own websites. It's truly humbling. And 2017 is going to come up, and next week we'll be obviously talking about the end of the year and my overall thoughts in the business as a whole and where we're going into 2017. And I couldn't be happier, man. It's been a great time to be a wrestling fan. It truly has. From many different standpoints. Not only from the entertainment family for WWE that you get each year, whether you're an NXT fan or you're a SmackDown fan or you're just a fan of the overall product like I am. Or whether you're enjoying the stuff that's going on with Broken Man Hardy and TNA, right? Or in my case, Lucha Underground and New Japan. And there's so many different aspects of this year's of professional wrestling that I enjoyed. It's making me enjoy wrestling as much now or even more than I was when I was a kid. And I'm truly grateful to be part of the show like a pipe bomb with McCool and Company to give my thoughts, and a lot of people are latching on to the pipe bomb, and it's truly humbling. I couldn't be happier for my good brother Mitchell McBeal, and I do this for fun. Do I feel like this particular show you're listening to right now could compete with those like Sam Roberts and Cheap Pete and etc.? Absolutely, because I do believe in myself. This because I'm not signed to Sirius XM or ESPN, or I don't have this massive network backing my podcast with sponsors and ads and having a bunch of live research. So doesn't mean that my show's not worth anything to people. I really do think my show is making a difference, and I'm damn proud of recording this particular podcast for you guys. For leaving Chicagoland Sports Radio back in April due to personal reasons, I was literally about to be done with all this broadcasting stuff. Just all of it. Writing, broadcasting, podcasting. I was literally about to be done with this. And for over the past, let's see, it's December 12th. For the past 8 months, this journey of this particular podcast has reinvigorated my passion, my motivation, and drive to doing this. I think I'm making a difference, and the fact that I didn't have any sponsors or ads, and the fact that we're getting over 30,000 listeners on Podomatic, and we're ranked 73rd in the country on sports and recreation, it's a bummer that I don't have the stats on iTunes, because I'd love to see that. But it's freaking humbling, man. It truly is. And I let my work speak for itself. Well, I say this is the greatest wrestling podcast on the earth. That's not for me to decide, because just like whenever you're talking about wrestling, whether you're watching the Roadblock or you're listening to a podcast like Bruce Pritchard's, or you're watching a video show like Wrestle Reaction, there's no black and white here. It's subjective. If you like what I do, I'm truly humbled by that. If not, it's cool. It's not the end of the world for me. You're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine. I just wanted to say this to start off the show, and we're going to get into Roadblock and Raw and all that in a couple minutes. But again, look in the mirror and say this to yourself. Don't allow misguided assumptions define your character. Don't allow misguided assumptions define your character. All right? So, we got a fun show, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to start it off with a motivational thing right there and let you guys know how I'm feeling as the year is coming to an end. And we're going to be talking about that more in depth next week, because that'll be our year in review show. And I'm looking forward to that. But we have a fun show for you guys this week. As always, you get my analysis, if you will. But one thing I promise, and you guys know this about me, I don't deal with rumor and innuendo. I don't like New Year's resolutions. I deal with absolutes. It's my genuine opinion. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to disagree with me either. But I would hope as you finish listening to this podcast this week, or anytime you listen to any of my programming, I hope you get something out of it, and to get you to think about the way you evaluate the world of professional wrestling, because this is a great business and we shouldn't take it for granted. So thank you guys so much for the support. One more time, plugs before we get into Roadblock. Make sure to follow me at Twitter at NotoriousJoshua if you ever want any information when it comes to this podcast, or any suggestions or comments or whatever. Send it at NotoriousJoshua or at Josh Lopez WWE94 at gmail.com. If you want to advertise with the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, it's increasing at a rapid pace, ladies and gentlemen. Our viewership keeps going higher and higher each week. It's truly humbling. So if you want to advertise with the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, you can go send an email to Josh Lopez WWE94 at gmail.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enough of me blabbling, me rambling on and on and on. Good monologue here. We're going to start off the show right here. We're going to be talking about Roadblock and Monday Night Raw with the return of Neville.
Last night, I single-handedly destroyed the Cruiserweight champion, Rich Swann, and his little buddy, TJ Perkins. And you people cheered me. Well, that's rich. It's been a long time since you people have cheered for me. You see, usually you only cheer for me if you think I'm vulnerable, if you think I'm small, if you feel sorry for me. Well, guess what? I don't need your pity. And I don't want your sympathy, so you can take your cheers and you can stick them. Make no bones about it. This is a warning. If your little favorite just so happens to be on 205 Live, well, that's too bad. Because I am going to obliterate the division.
Then fighting words for Neville. Glad to see him back. For those who don't know, Neville's always been one of my favorite guys on the roster. And I'm so glad that he's back now. He's part of the Cruiserweight division. That's pretty awesome. We're going to be talking about that in a couple of minutes. But tying into Roadblock this past week from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the PPG Paints Arena. Again, what a horrible, horrible arena name. Going back to what I was mentioning earlier, you know, if you're really expecting a Roadblock pay-per-view to be a level of a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble, then you need to realize that your expectations are way too high or you're smoking something, because during the Attitude Era that everybody claims was the greatest era of all time, I never looked at a Backlash that was better than WrestleMania that particular year. I never looked at an Armageddon that was bigger than a SummerSlam. I never seen a Judgment Day that was better than a Survivor Series that particular year. Case in point, I'm not expecting a show like Roadblock or Payback or whatever to be better than WrestleMania. It's the final Raw show of the year. And I thought they did a solid job finishing off what they needed to finish off for 2016. And last Monday night, they said some things that are going to head into 2017, which I thought was a good thing. And it wasn't just full Christmas gimmick galore. So started off the show with New Day and Sheamus Cesaro. By the way, the pre-show match, my thoughts on that really quick. Rusev versus Big Cass. The match wasn't very long, but Rusev won via countout. I love Rusev. He's the man. I think they're just trying to do some more character development with the guy. And, you know, maybe this angle's not everybody's cup of tea. I mentioned this before on the Pipe Bomb. Everybody's getting, like, the Attitude Era nostalgia act, and everybody's chopping down on their member berries because they got, oh my God, we got edgy programming with Enzo and Lana and Rusev and Big Cass. The match was what it was. It was kind of short, but Rusev did win via countout, outsmarting Enzo and Cass, which is not a hard thing to do at this point. But the show did start off with the New Day after breaking the Demolition's all-time reigning tag team record of days. They came in to start out the show against Sheamus Cesaro. Very, very, very good match. Back and forth action. Cesaro and Sheamus are a great tag team. This is not my moment for me to gloat at you guys because I'm not that guy, but I was one of the few that said that these guys were going to be perfect with each other once they team up, and everyone was like, oh, this is lazy booking. Oh, why can't we just have one more match? Even though 5 days later, we're like, oh, enough of these matches already. It should have been over by now. It's funny how we go from one extreme from 1 week to the next extreme, the next show. It's the battle of extremes when it comes to fans' response to wrestling shows each week. It gets comical and sad at sometimes. Nonetheless, it was a phenomenal match, and I gotta give credit to both tag teams. Despite New Day's repetitive attempts of cheating with the trombone and all the shenanigans on the outside, Cesaro and Sheamus actually outsmarted the New Day with a very interesting finish, teasing the tag and scoring a pinfall with Sheamus rolling over Kofi. It was a very good match, and props go out to Sheamus and Cesaro becoming the brand new Raw Tag Team Champions. It was unveiled on Raw this past Monday that they got new designs for the Raw Tag Team belts, and I gotta say, they don't look too bad, actually. Not too shabby. So I thought it was a very good opener and a good start off to the pay-per-view. Next match we had was Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn. Kind of old school here. Those that watch wrestling in the Georgia Championship Wrestling days or NWA or AWA days, those would know that a lot of these matches had time limits. So, for example, Pistol Pez Watley versus Abdullah the Butcher in a 15-minute time limit match, right? That's what it'd be, comparing Sami Zayn to Braun Strowman. Or, for example, alright, Tully Blanchard versus Bruiser Brody in a 10-minute time limit match. Or, how about this? Shawn Michaels versus Andre the Giant in a 5-minute time limit match. It's been done before, and I think it should be implemented more in other matches to give you a reason to invest in. Because one of the good things I thought that WWE did with Roadblock this past week, this past Sunday, was the fact that, yeah, you had title matches, and yeah, they should mean something, but the stipulations actually did mean something, and I thought Braun and Sami had a good performance, got the crowd invested into it. Braun Strowman continues to impress. The guy gets better each week, and Strowman had a very, very dominant performance on Raw this past Monday night. I thought Sami Zayn did a great job, too. Mick Foley's emotion was good, too. He was about to throw in the white towel, but it didn't work out. Sami Zayn did survive the 10 minutes, and he did pick up the victory. Braun Strowman snapped because of it. The next night on Raw, which caused pure other chaos. Strowman launched Sin Cara into a collection of trees off to the side of the stage. Braun Strowman came out and demolished Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in the main event of the show last week. Strowman, one thing you can say about Braun Strowman's character, he lives up to his words. No, he backs up his words. If you're gonna do something and you don't give it to him, he's gonna watch out, man. So happy for them. They're doing some good stuff with Braun Strowman, and I don't even think we reached the ceiling yet. So we'll see what happens going forward in the future with Braun Strowman. Next match here, talk about Chris Jericho and Seth Rollins. When you look at this on paper, and now people are like, oh, Rollins should have been a face, so he should go back to being a heel. What did me and Daly tell you guys about this, like 4 months ago when he came back? Oh, turn him face now and be the greatest thing for him ever right now. Now you guys want him to be a heel again. Oh boy, revisionist history, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at this on paper, I don't look at Seth Rollins and Jericho as a filler match. I don't. Now you can say it can be filler because you're just intertwining the stuff that's going on between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens to Seth Rollins and Chris Jericho, and Seth Rollins was solely focused on Triple H, and that his goal is that he had to knock each peg on the way to getting Triple H. So he had to get rid of Chris Jericho. he needed to get his hands back on Kevin Owens and get the Universal title off of him in order to bring out Triple H. Because on Raw, the Universal Championship is dictated by Triple H and Stephanie. That title picture is dictated by the McMahons / Triple H on Raw. And it's a good story. I think you're going to have more elements coming out of it once Triple H finally shows up on television, which would be cool. And I'm always a sucker for long-term storytelling, so the fact they're going with this route, I have no issue with it, and I think they're doing the right thing by Seth Rollins right now. You're going to see the fire, the really babyface fire in Seth Rollins once Triple H comes back. For example, babyfaces don't, at least in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong in this, I don't feel babyfaces always have to be screaming and yelling in order to get the crowd engaged in their particular programs. I think Seth Rollins is doing it subtly, and I think he's doing a good job. The guy's getting pots. The guys are into his matches every time the guy's performing, and I think this past Sunday proved it very well. Him and Jericho had an awesome match. They had a lot of time. Multiple finishers attempts. It was a very good match. It was one of my favorite matches to transcribe this past weekend. And I got to give props, man. It was a phenomenal match. So Seth Rollins won via the pedigree, countering out of the code breaker. Kevin Owens came down to ringside to distract Seth Rollins, but almost backfired on Chris Jericho. Jericho kicked out at 2. Jericho looked at Owens and started yelling at him. Jericho told Owens to go away. Owens depressingly walks to the back. And then Seth Rollins, they had a nice little exchange in the corner. Jericho goes for the court breaker, and then Rollins counters out with the pedigree to score the pinfall. So Seth Rollins on the victory board. Doesn't affect Chris Jericho one bit. Not one bit. It was a very, very good match. TJ Perkins, Brian Kendrick, and Rich Swann triple threat match for the WWE Cruiserweight title. I thought this was solid. I thought they had the proper time it was needed, and very, very happy to see Neville back. Rich Swann did retain, however. Swann and Perkins do a lot of super kicks in stereo recently, and they just keep super kicking Brian Kendrick. I wonder if it's a requirement for every cruiserweight wrestler now to throw a thrust kick or a super kick, whatever you want to call it. Like, or every independent wrestler now, it's literally a dime a dozen of how many guys are using super kicks these days. It's absolutely insane. Hell, Luke Harper does one. Before you know it, Miz is going to do one too. It's freaking ridiculous. Anyways, the match was fine. Rich Swann did retain his Cruiserweight title, and then this led to Neville coming out and just absolutely demolishing Perkins and Swann, seeing this new edge, this angry guy who's not going to take any shit from anybody. And I like it. I really do. It's something different for Neville, and I'm just happy that he's back on programming. It's one of the few things on Raw I don't understand as to why was Neville off of television for so long. If anything, I thought Neville would be one of the few that actually stood out from the brand split, and it would help him out the most. But the guy was never on television. So I'm happy he's back, and I think he's a good added twist to the Cruiserweight division, and I couldn't be happy for the guy, so I'm happy to see him back. All right, here we go. Here comes the part of the show where Josh might go off here. Charlotte Sasha Banks Iron Man match for the Raw Women's Championship. Again, we're at it again with a pay-per-view where these two steal the show, make history, tell a perfect story in the ring. All three intangibles that everybody wants in their wrestling pay-per-view matches, right? That's the three criteria you go for. Crowd reaction, story in the ring, and whether or not the match was, whether the match was entertaining. I never, in my life, in professional wrestling, dictated my judgment on a match on who won the match. I never have. I never have. This is a shoot. Ladies and gentlemen, I have never dictated my judgment on a particular match based on who won that particular match. I never have. When I went to Kevin Harvey's wrestling seminar, wrestling announcing seminar a couple years ago for AEW, he said one of the important things about professional wrestling is understanding the element of the fact that this business is subjective. There's so many different ways you can look at things when a decision goes the opposite way you wanted it to go. For example, there could be so many things that are going on if Sasha won, right? And then Charlotte would have been off of television. Same thing goes vice versa. Okay, Charlotte won, and then now Sasha's injured, and now she's going to take some time off, right? There's so many different ways to look at this, and again, if I need to bring up the member berries because everybody wants to whine and bitch and complain about the hot potatoing about the women's title on Raw, let me remind you guys that Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Kane, Undertaker, Mankind, and yes, even Triple H were playing hot potato with the WWF Championship for 4 years. 4 years. Please, let me know any of the champions that hold it for over at least 3 months max. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Because it's bullshit. We're going to whine and moan about Charlotte and Sasha Banks revolutionizing a division, even exceeding the Revolution. They're on standalone performers. These two put on a performance that people are still talking about after the pay-per-view. They've reached the point of the show where they can be as good or even better than what your main world title men feud is. And we're going to whine because, they're playing hot potato. Or we're going to complain about how a subjective finish ended when the time expired. Were you guys paying attention to the story in the match? The girl was bleeding. The girl was in writhing pain. It looked like her knee was about to pop out. That's before the time expired. It makes Sasha look weak as a baby face. Charlotte freaking literally almost broke Sasha's knee in half even before the freaking finish happened. I talked about this on the Pipe Bomb. If Charlotte was going to win, and I hate using the word if, you guys know that I hate using the word this, but it works in this context. If Charlotte was going to win back the title on Sunday, right? The way they did it last Sunday was the way to do it. It's sudden death. I wasn't expecting it to go the other way around where Charlotte was up 2-1 and then Sasha from out of nowhere, get Charlotte in the bank statement, blah, 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 tap, 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 tap. Again, I understand it's subjective. Don't tell me it's a horrible finish. Horrible to what? To you? Just because you say it's horrible doesn't mean it's horrible. Now, again, to reiterate points from previous shows, I have no issue with people expressing their opinions if they're genuine. But don't give me this elitist narrative that, it's a horrible finish, so that's what it is. It's just a horrible finish. Okay, so every time you say it's a horrible finish or good finish, that's the criteria. Off on your terms, that's a horrible or good finish. It doesn't work that way. It's subjective. Just because it didn't work out for you doesn't mean other people enjoyed it. Maybe people wanted to see the match continue. How does that make Sasha weak? Because the Disco Inferno says on Twitter, why would it have Sasha tap out as time expires? I would think freaking big Nostradamus himself would know that freaking the story of the match is her knee popping out before the time expired. Why did you think the sudden death overtime wasn't as long? The girl could barely even stand up. Sasha barely got back on her feet. They fought for about a minute or two. Sasha always got Charlotte back in the bank statement, and then Charlotte reversed it back to the figure eight. I mean, for a guy that's never been in business, it's not really that rocket science. We all whine and moan about, there's not enough good storytelling in the ring. And, well, maybe you would recognize the storytelling if you're actually watching the show and not looking through your stupid social media timelines. Just because Lance Storm or Disco Inferno or anybody else says, that's a horrible finish, that's not the gospel. Again, I never had a horse in this race, so I didn't have an emotional factor going into this. I had a blast covering this match. It was a phenomenal match. I thought these two would, again, exceeded the bar. These two continue to outdo themselves every time they're in the ring with each other, and I thought Sunday was the perfect ending for this first chapter. This chapter is not over. These two will be fighting for a long time. I thought Sasha put a performance to the levels of Shawn Michaels this past Sunday. I really did. And you can say I'm nuts. I think Sasha had a Shawn Michaels level of performance this past Sunday. But again, just because Charlotte won, and just because Sasha tapped out as time expires when her knee was popping out, doesn't mean it was a horrible booking decision or horrible finish. If that's how you feel, cool. But don't tell me that that's the only way we should look at this, as a horrible finish. I hate the elitist narrative. Again, I remind you guys every time, you guys don't always have to agree or disagree with my opinions. At least you're getting a genuine opinion from me. But I'm never going to tell you guys how to feel. I'm not. It's just not right. And just to have this full stance, like Trump. This is a horrible finish. Horrible finish. That's it. That's the only way it's going to be. It's horrible finish. It's not black and white. Screw Donald Trump, by the way. Send your hate tweets. I really don't care. Donald Trump could go to hell at this point, to be honest with you. But anyways, it's so ridiculous that these two are putting phenomenal, epic performance, and we're whining and bitching and complaining about something that's so subjective and minuscule in the long-term story of this rivalry, man. And it's continuing to slap these two women in the face. These girls are killing it. Sasha was bleeding. We had women bleeding. The referee didn't come in the ring to stop the match to wipe the blood off of Sasha's face. And we're still whining and bitching. The story of wrestling fans. Wake up, bitch at night, talk about it the next day. Whatever, man. Looks like Charlotte's going to be getting into a feud with Bayley. As you guys noticed, I've been intertwining my raw thoughts between Roadblock. So, Bayley looks to be the next challenger for Charlotte, which is logical. They had a good match this past Monday Night on Raw, which ended up Bayley winning. Good. I thought their promo beforehand, I thought was really good because it set the table of where they're going to go with this story. Basically, Bayley is the underdog. Charlotte rips on Bayley with the fact that she's the weak link in the Four Horsewomen, which I thought was interesting. And it's going to be interesting. I think these two are going to have a long feud. I totally feel like these two are going to go into WrestleMania next year. And we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be very, very good. So I think sooner or later Bayley will be the ones to dethrone Charlotte's pay-per-view record, which is going to be a lot of fun. So happy for Bayley, and we'll see what goes on from there. Sasha Banks came out, and then she admitted that Charlotte was the better performer that night. And Nia came out. She attacked Sasha, who was holding a crutch. And she attacks Sasha with a crutch. Nia whips Sasha into the ropes with the injured leg and knee. It was nasty. It was a nasty beatdown. But I thought Nia did a very good job on her promo. She's like, you're not going to be the boss of anything when it comes to me. So it looks like they're really into the program, which is fine with me. I'm looking forward to that. Now to the main event. Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship. These guys have good chemistry in the ring. I continue to say it. Let me restate this for probably the last time in 2016. The boos for Roman Reigns are more forced at this point than his push, in my opinion. I think the boos for Roman Reigns are more shoved down your throat than he is being shoved down your throat. On the contrary. Boom. I thought these guys have a good match. Chris Jericho came out later towards the end of the match. It was like, oh, what's going to happen here? Jericho drops Owens with a cold breaker, and me and my godmother's boyfriend, Jeremy, that's where I go to watch these shows at his house. And we were talking about it before the show went on air this past Sunday. If you guys were following the story, you should have been surprised that it was a total ruse between Owens and Jericho this whole time. And they did a good job. I thought the way they finished the match with Roman and Kevin was brilliant. I thought they nailed it. And then this massive brawl came out with the Seth Rollins came down to the ring. Roman and Seth put both Jericho and Owens through separate announce tables to close out Roadblock. And overall, I thought Roadblock was a solid show. I wouldn't say it was a great pay-per-view. I wouldn't say it was a bad pay-per-view. I'll have it somewhere in between, but I thought Roadblock was a solid send-off for 2016 for the Raw brand, and happy for the guys. And I thought Raw was decent, too, for it being a holiday show. I've seen a lot of holiday shows with the Christmas trees on stage when it comes to Raw, and those been torturous, to say the least. But I thought they did some solid stuff. Neville, I played that clip of Neville explaining his actions. And I'm happy that he's back. I truly am. So we're going to see what's going to happen with him. And I thought Raw was decent for what it was. Got some things setting up in the future. Braun Strowman had his showcase performance this past Monday night. I will say that. I thought the Enzo Amore sensitivity training segments with Bo Dallas, Jinder Mahal, and Bob Backlund and Darren Young, I thought that was really funny. And good stuff for Raw this week. I think they made the most out of it. It wasn't too campy or hokey with the Christmas stuff, so as in years past. But I don't even think they're even going to do that next week because that's the day after Christmas, so there's really no point to it. But next week, Raw and SmackDown will be in Chicago, and I can't wait. I can't wait to be there. So good stuff for the Red brand. I'll be talking about my thoughts on Raw heading into 2017 in full detail in our State of the Business recap show next week, which will be the final edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast for 2016. So next week it's going to be a barn burner show, just like this week has been so far. So talked about Roadblock. I mixed Roadblock and my Raw thoughts into one full segment, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys have any comments on what I said about the Charlotte Sasha Banks match, I'd love to hear from you guys. Send me a tweet at Twitter at NotoriousJoshi on Twitter. That's JOSHIE on Twitter. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a pause here. And coming up next, we're going to be talking about SmackDown Live that I got to cover from last night. Because, oh boy, was it a savage one.
Victory tonight. However, last week it seemed like your obsession with Dean Ambrose got in the way during your fatal four-way match for the #1 contendership.
My obsession with Dean Ambrose? My obsession with Dean Ambrose? Maybe we should talk about your obsession with Dean Ambrose. I mean, after all, you're the one sleeping with him.
Besides AJ Styles, please tell me, give me one reason why Miz is not the Wrestler of the Year or Superstar of the Year. Oh, man. If we had the Slammies, it would have been a very, very interesting debate of who would win Superstar of the Year. I mean, from Chris Jericho to AJ Styles to Charlotte to Sasha to Miz. Man. I'm still trying to process what I covered last night because there's a lot of really hard-hitting promos and just insults here and there. Boom, 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 boom. You guys just heard it right there. Miz slamming Renee Young with her relationship with Dean Ambrose. Ay caramba. If that's not an indicator that Miz is going to have a feud with Dean Ambrose, I don't know what else is. And I'm not having a problem with that because for the Miz Ambrose matches that I've covered in the past are good, and the fact these two have a program with each other, it's not AJ for Dean anymore. I don't have a problem with that, to be honest with you. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Ambrose responds to Miz, because Ambrose had a very good match with Luke Harper last night on SmackDown, and Ambrose won, but he got molly-whopped by the Wyatt family. Let me repeat that phrase right there. Molly-whopped. The Wyatts just absolutely destroyed Dean Ambrose. Bray Wyatt did this cool thing where he whips Ambrose into an RKO from Randy Orton. They posed over Ambrose laid out canvas, laid out carcass in the ring, and then Miz came down to the ring with Maurice, and then Miz dropped Ambrose with the skull-crushing finale. So, yeah, things are about to get personal between Miz, Dean Ambrose, Renee Young, and Maurice. So, we'll see what happens there. Also, on SmackDown Live this past Tuesday, we had the Christmas gift for all the James Ellsworth haters out there. AJ Styles had his match with James Ellsworth, and I was talking about this on the warm-up of Wrestle the other day. If you're expecting AJ Styles and James Ellsworth to have a 3rd-minute barn burner like Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, again, I think we need to reevaluate some things. But nonetheless, this match did not last long. This was the 4th match between these men, and finally the WWE title match is gone. We can move on from it. AJ Styles did beat James Ellsworth with success. There was no no-shit music or any false finishes from James Ellsworth's point of view. It was all Styles, the way it should have been. Styles just absolutely destroyed Ellsworth to the point that Ellsworth needed to be taken out again on a stretcher. Dolph Ziggler came down to ring to remind AJ before he goes on vacation that he still has one more title defense against him next week. Next week's SmackDown in Chicago may be the show of the year. I'm being honest. I know you guys are going to say I'm biased because I'm going to be there and it's in my hometown. But tell me, look at this card. You got Dolph, AJ, and Baron Corbin in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. By the way, I gotta give props to Ziggler and Corbin. They killed it last night in the main event of SmackDown, so I'll give those guys props. Also, the return of John Cena. There's this massive 4 corners elimination match with Rhino, Heath Slater, American Alpha, the Usos, and the Wyatts for the tag team titles. That match is going to be freaking insane. And then, of course, Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss rematch for the women's title. Oh, man, I can't wait to be there next week, man. It can't come quick enough, to be honest with you. But I really think SmackDown next week may be the show of the year. So we'll see what happens next week on SmackDown Live from the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. Also, by the way, want to give a shout out to Carmella and Natalya and Nikki Bella for that. very, very thought-provoking segment where Natalya just went totally off on Nikki on how she really feels about her, and she admitted that she did attack Nikki at Survivor Series. I'm going to be adding that promo of Natalya at the end of the show this week, so a little bonus Christmas gift for me and you guys. Literally, Natalya, and I can use this since I'm on the show, Natalya did drop a pipe bomb. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought SmackDown was decent last night. I really did. I thought it was one of the better shows they've done over the past couple weeks. Apollo Crews and Miz had a very, very good match. I'm glad they gave him extra time. And Miz and Crews got some good chemistry in the ring. It was a very, very wrestling-heavy edition of SmackDown this past Tuesday night. And I'm not complaining about it. I thought it was very, very, very good. So props to everybody that performed on the show last night for the Blue Brand. They did a very good job. Baron Corbin especially, he did. He really stood out in that main event. And overall, I thought his promo games getting better too. And he had a good promo on Talking Smack that you guys probably heard in the beginning of the podcast here. So, again, SmackDown, killing it. Love the Blue Brand. It's awesome. People could get on their soapboxes about SmackDown not having enough depth. But it's funny, the show that has no depth is able to deliver consistent programming at a high level. And I'll take no depth and good programming over supposed depth in 3 hours of Michael Cole and Byron Saxton dragging you down to tears because you're so bored. So, anyways, we talked about SmackDown, we talked about Raw, we talked about Roadblock. Before I head out of here, it's a must, it's a requirement for me to discuss the masterpiece that was the total Nonstop Deletion.
It's time I render you obsolete. Yes, but you won't go. Well done, Steven! 1, 2, 3! Yeah! Oh, that's the line of deletion has nearly been annihilated, but we will rebuild it. All 6 of us, all of House Hardy, yes.
You mean 7 of us.
7? You're pregnant? Wonderful!
Broken Matt Hardy, Brother Nero, Senior Benjamin, Queen Rebecca, King Maxwell, Vanguard 1, the Scribe. For me to you, thank you. Thank you for the masterpiece you all have been able to provide for us for the past 6 months with this Broken Matt Hardy character. It's absolutely been phenomenal, groundbreaking, and I couldn't be more happier for the Hardy family. The fact they're able to showcase their creativity in the ways they've been able to do this, it's kind of like TNA has eviscerated their own Big Four pay-per-view format, and now all the major TNA shows are now at the Hardy compound. I won't have enough time to talk about it this week in depth as I would like to. I may do it as a YouTube exclusive sometime down the road this week, but I do have to give so much credit to Jeremy Borash and the entire crew that set that up, and Gilbert Corsi, who was doing the live action news reports, and just everybody down there at TNA who did a phenomenal job putting Total Nonstop Deletion together. So many funny moments. The Domo Deletion in itself is funny in terms of itself. King Maxwell made his debut against Rockstar Spud. Vanguard 1 was motorboating on ODB's tits. Vanguard 1 wanted to fight Sienna, but that didn't happen. The Express that rocks and rolls was at the show. Hornswoggle. So many shenanigans on the show this week. I'm still laughing about it to this day. And of course, everybody had to mention the nose comment when it came to Triple H, which never gets old. But nonetheless, it was absolutely phenomenal. I got to give so much credit to Matt Hardy and his family. I couldn't be happy for them. That's something they should be very proud of. If anything else, if they have any regrets about their run in WWE, any regrets they have in their career, they have to look back at this journey of the broken Matt Hardy character and the platoon, if you will, as a defining moment in their career. This broken Matt Hardy stuff will be one of the few defining moments in the Hardys' legendary careers, both for Jeff and for Brother Nero as well. So I loved it. It was ridiculous. It was funny. It was dumb in a good way. And again, I'm still kind of at a loss of words for what I saw, because it was literally the full hour. They had a world title match between Eddie Edwards and Bobby Lashley that was going good, and then Lashley spears Edwards through the Doma Deletion, and then they start fighting into the woods, and then the match ends with Lashley throwing Edwards into the house with no pins, no submissions, nothing. Man. But Apocalypto was crazy. We had the Bravado brothers come out. We seen Shane Helms. I thought he did a good job, by the way. Shout out to Shane Helms. Shane reprised the 3 count with the Helms Dynasty. That didn't last long. The Hurricane came out, which I thought was cool. Man, just so many crazy things, man, with this Apocalypto. If that was the Total Nonstop Deletion for 2016 and TNA in general, that would have been phenomenal. But it seems like they're going to be taping more shows coming up in 2017. So there's that. But again, congrats to Broken Matt Hardy, the whole entire Hardy family, Jeremy Borash, and everybody involved in this Total Nonstop Deletion series, going back from the Final Deletion, Delete or Decay, Bound for Glory, and of course, you can't forget about Total Nonstop Deletion that happened this past Thursday night on Impact on Pop. So, congrats again, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I don't have enough good words to describe how amazing and wonderful and delightful Total Nonstop Deletion was. So, again, thank you. For a wrestling fan, I got to sit back. Even though I was covering the show live, I got to sit back and enjoy something really remarkable. So, congrats again to the Hardys. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap up the show this week. Don't forget, tonight I'll be covering Lucha Underground for the Zone of Wrestle. Lucha Underground will be live on the El Rey Network. Sexy Star versus Johnny Muno for the Lucha Underground Championship in the Steel Cage match. And also, we have the finales of the Battle of the Bulls tournament, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Check that out. El Rey Network, the Zone of Wrestle. That article will come out at 6 o'clock Central Time. It makes it 7 o'clock out there in the East Coast. If you guys ever want to advertise with the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, you can send an email to joshlopezwwe94@gmail.com. Once again, that's Josh Lopez, WWE94@gmail.com. I'm at Twitter at Notorious Joshi. That's Notorious, Joshie. IE on Twitter. If you guys ever want to send a question or a suggestion for this wrestling podcast or anything you want to respond to me for anything I said on the show, I'm open ears and I'm not afraid to respond back. Check me out on the Pipe Ball with McCool and Company on the New Age Insiders Network every Fridays. We're recording 2 shows this week to wrap it up, so it's going to be a busy week on that end. And then also, don't forget, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to it on iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom. All I have ever asked for you guys is to leave an honest review or rating. It really helps us out. I want to get your guys' feedback on the show. No matter what star review you give to it, I don't care. I just want to see you guys' feedback, and it would mean the world to me if you guys could subscribe and tell a friend about the show, because I think we got something cooking here. We're getting more and more viewers as the weeks go by. Literally, just almost about 50,000 listeners over the past 2 weeks is freaking phenomenal. So, thank you guys for the support. As always, I love you guys. Follow me on Twitter, Notorious Joshi. Enjoy episode 34 of the Josh Lovis Wrestling Podcast. More importantly, have a safe and fun Merry Christmas. Have a good time with your family. Enjoy some football. Enjoy some basketball. Go Bears. Go Bulls. And go back to what I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself this. Don't allow misguided assumptions define your character. On that note, this has been episode 34 of the Josh Lovis Wrestling Podcast. I am the student of the game of professional wrestling, and I'll talk to you next week. Peace. Merry Christmas, everybody.
I told you 1,000,000 times. If I was the one who dropped you, I'd be bragging about it. Now, I know your boyfriend, John Cena, he can help you out with all of your problems. But I think it's about time that you stop daydreaming about the Saturday Night Live after party and realize that your little friend here, Natty, she's a liar. Or has some of that silicone leaked up into your brain.
Don't you dare talk to her like that. You do not talk to my friend like that. You
Natty,
show some
what
respect.
You want an Academy Award or something? Enough with the act. You don't care about her. You don't. Now, did you or did you not tell me that somebody needs to teach Nikki a lesson?
You need to shut your mouth.
You were crying on my shoulder because you were so upset that ever since Nikki came back, she was getting all the attention. Remember?
You have no respect for me. You have no respect for Nikki.
Natty, you told me also that the only reason the Bella Twins are in the WWE is because nobody cared about them when they tried to make it on their own. Remember that?
Natty, you said that.
Yeah, you know what? That was something that I said to you in private. You are a dirty little Staten Island snitch.
It's true. You're the one that attacked me.
You caused all of this.
Natalya after Carmella, but with that savage admission, Natalya proving that she's the queen of black hearts. Carmella dropping a truth bomb.
All right. I did it, you.
Ooh.
I have always despised you. I am Natalya Neidhart. I am wrestling royalty. Nikki, you may have been the longest reigning Divas champion in WWE history. And I know you worked so hard, Nikki. You worked 10 long years. You worked your butt off. But you and your sister got everything because you're beautiful. Yeah. You're nothing just like these people here. Yeah. You got the magazine covers. You got to walk red carpets. You got the Total Divas spinoff. That should have been me. And you didn't get it, Nikki, because you've got a great personality. You've got no charisma. My cat has more charisma than you. You may be beautiful on the inside, Nikki, and on the outside, but you are a nothing. And that's why John will never marry you.